Out beyond the edge of the continental shelf, where the sea darkens into an endless blue-black void and the horizon feels razor-sharp, the hunt for the giant swordfish begins in silence. A long line stretches for kilometers across the open ocean, drifting like an invisible trap. Capable of lunging at nearly 100 kilometers per hour. Its elongated bill slashing through water like a spear through air. As the crew hauls the long line by hand and machine, the line jerks and screams under strain. Burning palms and rattling pulleys, while the sea churns with anticipation. Then it breaks the surface in an explosion of foam and spray. Silver-black body twisting, tail thrashing, sword flashing in wild arcs that can split planks and shatter bones. Every second is dangerous. Every movement calculated. Because one wrong step can turn triumph into disaster. The fishermen shout commands over the roar of engines and wind. Eyes locked on the creature that refuses to surrender. Even as exhaustion finally begins to slow its violent surges. When the swordfish is brought alongside the vessel, massive and gleaming under the harsh sun, the moment feels unreal. As if time itself has paused to witness the clash between human endurance and oceanic power. Blood mixes with sea water. Steam rises from warm flesh meeting cold air. And the deck becomes a stage marked by struggle, respect, and awe. This is not merely a capture but a confrontation. A reminder that the sea does not give freely and that every victory is earned through risk, patience, and an unspoken pact with nature. As the long line is reset and the vessel moves on, the ocean closes behind them, calm once more, hiding its secrets again. While the story of the giant swordfish lingers in the minds of those who dared to pull a living legend from the deep, night falls slowly on the open sea. And with it comes a different kind of tension, heavier and more primal. As the long line drifts beneath a sky crowded with stars, the crew works under dim lights. Shadows stretching across the deck. Senses sharpened by fatigue and adrenaline. Knowing that swordfish hunt most fiercely in darkness. Hours later, when the line is hauled again, the silence shatters as another giant answers the hooks, pulling with raw fury as if trying to drag the vessel itself back into the abyss. The engines groan, the deck vibrates, and the line bows deep into the water, tracing the invisible path of a predator that refuses to rise. Sweat runs down faces. Muscles burn. And every meter gained feels stolen rather than earned. Because the swordfish fights not only with strength but with intelligence. Diving. Circling. Using the vastness of the ocean as its ally. When it finally surfaces, moonlight glints off its armored scales, revealing scars from past battles. Proof that this creature has survived countless encounters in a world where weakness means death. The clash reaches its peak in a frenzy of water and sound. The fish slamming its sword against the hull. The crew dodging with practiced fear.
Keep it tight! Watch the spool! Oh, we got a monster down there! Look out! The cable's going! We're losing it! Hit the brake! Brace yourselves! Hold tight to the railing! The line is slipping. We have to pull it in now. Get the gaff ready now. I've got it. Pull harder. Easy now, easy. That's a monster. We're almost clear of the rail. All right, pull on three. 1, 2, 3. Got it, tight.
hearts pounding as close as they ever come to the edge of control. Slowly, inevitably, the balance shifts, and the giant is secured. Its movements slowing until the sea itself seems to mourn the end of the struggle. In that moment, there is no cheering, only heavy breathing and quiet respect, because everyone on deck understands what it took to bring such a force from the depths. As dawn approaches and the horizon glows faintly, the long line is cleared, the deck washed clean, and the vessel turns homeward, carrying not just a catch, but a story carved from danger and determination. The ocean stretches on, indifferent and eternal, already preparing its next challenge, while the memory of battling a giant swordfish by Longline remains etched forever in the minds of those who faced the deep and lived to tell the tale yet even after the vessel turns away. The echo of the encounter refuses to fade, because the sea has a way of following you long after its surface disappears behind the stern. The crew stares out in silence, hands still trembling slightly, replaying every surge of the line, every violent strike of the sword against water and steel, each moment where fate balanced on a single knot or hook. The giant swordfish, now still, seems almost unreal in its size and beauty. A reminder that this ocean breeds legends, not just animals, and that confronting such power leaves a mark deeper than any scar. For the fishermen, this is why they return again and again, why they accept the loneliness, the danger, the endless uncertainty, because in those brief, brutal minutes when man and sea collide, life feels sharpened, distilled to pure instinct and purpose. Longline fishing for giant swordfish is not simply a method, but a test of patience stretched across miles of ocean. A gamble placed hook by hook into the darkness, waiting for something ancient and unstoppable to answer. And when it does, when the line goes tight and the battle erupts, the world narrows to the pull of the sea and the will to endure, until victory arrives not as celebration, but as quiet understanding. Out here, under an open sky and over unfathomable depths, every catch is a story of respect earned the hard way, and every journey ends with the same truth: the ocean always remains greater, watching in silence, ready to challenge the next soul bold enough to cast a line into its depths when the coast finally appears as a thin dark line against the rising sun. The weight of the journey settles in, heavy but satisfying. Like the calm after a storm inside the chest, the giant swordfish, once a blur of violence and speed, now lies as silent proof of what it costs to cross paths with the deep. its long blade still pointing forward as if refusing to yield even in stillness. The crew moves more slowly now, bodies aching, hands cracked by salt. Yet there is a shared understanding in their glances. A bond forged not by words but by survival. They know that the story will change each time it is told. Growing sharper, darker, more dramatic. But the truth will always remain, out there. Far from land. They faced something larger than themselves and did not turn away. Long line by long line. Haul by haul. This is how lives are measured on the open ocean. Not in years but in moments of tension where everything can be lost in a heartbeat. As the harbor draws near and the sea flattens into deceptive calm, the memory of the battle lingers like salt on skin. Impossible to wash away. The vessel slows. The engines ease. But inside every fisherman, the call of the deep is already stirring again. Because somewhere beyond the horizon, another giant swordfish moves through the darkness. And the long line will one day follow. Stretched once more into the waiting sea, and so the cycle continues. Written not in ink but in wake lines fading behind the hull. In knots retied with quiet care. In hooks checked one by one as if each carries its own promise and threat. The giant swordfish becomes more than a catch, it becomes a measure of courage. A benchmark against which all other days at sea are judged. On land, people will see only the final weight. The polished flesh. The market value. Never the moment when the line first screamed.
He's huge, keep the tension. I'm trying, pull him up. Hold fast on those lines!
Secure the main winch now! Don't let them surface!
Set the pace now, Hev! And pull! Pull hard now! Pull hard now! Got him! Keep it coming! Almost there, watch the tail! Watch out, they're swinging hard. Get the nets ready. Pin them down. Got it, hold tight. Careful of the hook. Come on, lift. Almost there. Get the gaff ready. It's moving to the bow. Get ready. I'm on it. That's a big one. Watch out, sudden drag. I'm sliding. Grab the rail. Keep the tension on it. It's barely moving. Whew, just a little more. Yes, there we go.
This one is slightly oversized, 72 inches.
Noted. Skin quality is excellent.
The pressure looks low on the starboard side. Adjusting the flow now.
I found a slight imperfection right here.
Yes, mark that down. The rest looks good.
Check the marbling on this one. Looks good, very fresh. Document the color grade.
Never the second when fear tightened the throat and instinct took over. Those moments belong only to the ones who were there. Standing on a moving deck with the ocean breathing beneath their feet. Trusting skill over panic. Experience over doubt. Even in sleep. The fisherman will feel it again. The sudden pull. The violent surge. The living power at the other end of the long line. Because some battles do not end when the sea grows calm. They stay. Lingering like a tide inside the mind. Calling quietly but persistently. And when the vessel sails again, pushing back toward deep water where the world drops away into darkness, there will be no hesitation. Only the familiar resolve to face whatever answers the hooks. Because to hunt giant swordfish by longline is to accept the sea on its own terms. To risk everything for a single encounter that proves you were there. That you endured. And that for a brief, Unforgettable time. You stood equal with one of the ocean's most powerful creatures in the end. What remains is not the sound of engines or the weight of the catch, but the memory of standing at the boundary between control and chaos, where the ocean decides how much it will allow you to take. The giant swordfish fades into legend the moment it leaves the water. But the confrontation itself becomes permanent, etched into muscle memory and instinct. Every creak of rope, every shadow moving beneath the surface on future voyages will carry an echo of that fight. A reminder that the deep is never empty, never passive. Longline fishing teaches patience measured in hours and courage tested in seconds. Because the sea offers no warning before it demands everything you have. And so, as waves roll endlessly beneath an open sky, the fishermen understand a truth older than charts or engines: they are not masters of the ocean. Only challengers invited briefly into its domain. Each voyage ends. Each story closes. But the sea remains, vast and waiting. And somewhere below, another giant swordfish cuts through the darkness, unaware that one day a thin line will cross its path, and the ancient drama will begin again that knowledge humbles even the most seasoned among them. Because every return from the deep feels borrowed rather than guaranteed. The longline, simple in design yet merciless in consequence, becomes a symbol of that fragile connection between surface and abyss. A narrow thread linking human ambition to the wild logic of the sea. Out there, technology offers no comfort when the wind rises and the swell grows steep. When darkness closes in and the only certainty is the pull on the line. The giant swordfish embodies that uncertainty. A living force that answers not to profit or pride but to instinct honed over millions of years.
Brace hard now. Keep it tight on the rail. Pulling as hard as I can.
Look at the size of this thing. Biggest one yet, Captain.
Secure that tail! That tail!
Facing it strips away illusion, leaving only effort, fear, and resolve. And when the decks are finally quiet and the horizon swallows the ship once more, the fishermen carry forward a silent vow to respect what they challenge, to remember the power that met them head on, and to return with the same caution they arrived. Because the true drama of hunting giant swordfish by longline is not the moment of victory, but the enduring awareness that the ocean allowed them to leave, and that next time, it may ask a higher price. That unspoken price hangs over every future voyage, felt in the way hands linger a moment longer on the rail before setting the gear, in the way eyes scan the water for signs that cannot be named but are deeply understood. The sea teaches without mercy, and the giant swordfish is one of its harshest lessons. A reminder that beauty and danger often share the same shape. Long after the nets are stowed and the lines coiled, the image of that living blade cutting through darkness remains vivid. A symbol of a world that exists beyond human rules. To chase it with a long line is to accept uncertainty as a companion. To trust experience while knowing it can still fail. And yet, despite the risk, despite the scars carried quietly beneath weathered skin, the call never truly fades. Because in those rare moments when the line tightens and the ocean answers, life feels brutally honest, stripped of noise and distraction, reduced to a single test of will against the deep. That is why the fishermen return, again and again, pushing past fear and fatigue, not to conquer the sea, but to meet it on equal terms, knowing that every encounter with a giant swordfish is a fleeting, dangerous privilege granted by an ocean that never forgets who truly holds the power, and when age finally slows their steps and strength no longer answers as it once did. The stories remain, carried in voices roughened by wind and years of salt. The tale of the giant swordfish pulled from the depths by a single, unyielding line becomes a lesson passed to younger hands. Not as a boast, but as a warning wrapped in wonder. They speak of the night when the sea rose without warning, of the line cutting the water like a living thing, of the moment when fear and respect became the same emotion. These stories shape the next generation long before they ever step onto a deck, teaching them that skill means nothing without humility, And courage is useless without restraint. The longline method endures not because it is easy, but because it demands this understanding, forcing fishermen to confront the ocean directly, without illusion. And so, even as new vessels replace old hulls and modern instruments map the depths with cold precision, out here, far beyond the safety of land, the ocean does not reward strength alone. It tests patience, breaks rhythm, and demands respect with every violent pull of the long line. For hours, sometimes days, male fishermen wearing waterproof protective gear stand against exhaustion as the giant swordfish fights from the darkness below. Unseen but never unfelt. Every meter gained is paid for with burning muscles and silent determination. Every pause filled with the sound of breath and the groan of steel. When the line finally yields and the struggle reaches its end, there is no celebration, only understanding. What is lifted from the sea is more than a catch. It is proof that discipline can outlast power, that teamwork can overcome fear, and that even in a modern world of machines and steel, the ocean still decides who earns the right to return home.